All right, class, so today we are going to work on dividing fractions. I think that the trickiest part about this one is which number to flip, and I'm going to explain what that is. It's very, very similar to what we've already done with multiplication. We're actually going to change our division into multiplication, and we're going to do that using a concept that we've talked about before called reciprocals. Now, reciprocals is a head or a handstand fraction. That's the way I like to explain it to kids first. It's two fractions that when you multiply them together are going to equal 1. So if I take 3/5 and 5/3 and multiply them, I get 15/15, which is 1. Notice that 3/5, if it stood on its head or its hands, if it had them, it would be 5/3. It's just a flip. The second one flipped. So in this one, I have 10/3 times 3/10 equals 30/30 equals 1. So the reciprocal of 10/3 is 3/10. It's just the flip. It's the handstand. So try to find the reciprocal of these numbers. And you can go ahead and pause if you would like. This one is a little sticky one, but should be easy enough. So number 1, if you flip this, it's just 2/1. That's the reciprocal. This one can be tricky, but you got to realize it's the same as saying 6/1. So the reciprocal is 1/6. The reciprocal of 1 is just going to be 1, because 1/1 flipped is still 1. 1 and 2/5 is a little bit tricky because you need to make sure that this mixed number is an improper fraction. So you should first get to 7/5, and then when you flip it, you would get 5/7. So notice that extra step in here can be a little bit of a sticking point, but the reciprocal is just a headstand or handstand fraction. Why am I telling this? Is in order to divide a fraction, you have to multiply it by its reciprocal. So this is the key concept. If you don't remember anything else, go back to this. And I have a fun little song that we're going to talk about in just a moment. I always think about ways that we say the same thing in two different ways. So if I say, what is 4 divided by 2? You all know that that's 2, but I want you to think of that question and apply this to it. What if I would say, what is 4 times a half? Notice we changed that sign in the middle. We did the opposite thing to the sign, and we flipped the second number. We flipped it, and we get 4/2, which is still equal to 2. So whether you divide by 2 or multiply by a half, your end game, your end answer, is the same. It's like saying the same thing in two different ways. You're just coming at it a little bit differently. Now, how are you going to remember this? Because this is great. You're learning it in a lesson, but what if you can't remember it when it comes to a quiz or a test? Here is the song that we learn every year, and we all sing it together, and I wish that I could, actually do a head or a handstand. So here is the song. The number you're dividing by, dividing by, dividing by, the number you're dividing by, turn upside down and multiply. Let's try it again. And when we say turn upside down, a lot of times we had the kids hold their hands up and then pretend to go down and kick their legs up. We're not really going to do that because somebody's going to get kicked in the head. But the number you're dividing by, dividing by, dividing by, the number you're dividing by, turn upside down and multiply. Remember, here's my little guy turning upside down. I did that on purpose. And we're going to try a couple of these so that you can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. I haven't completely lost my mind, only sort of. So it's always that second number, the number you're dividing. I always have them, if they can't remember which one it is, it's dividing by. So dividing by, go to the next number. That's the number that flips. So this one, the 1/4 stays the same. turn upside down and multiply. So the 1/3 becomes 3/1, and we end up getting 3/4. So you're just flipping the second number. Now, I don't mind if during the assignment you're singing the little song because you're going to hopefully remember it. Would you try at least numbers 1, 2, and 3 right now? And then I am going to have the answers up. But remember, right now, before we even start, dividing by, dividing by. The nice thing about the song is it reminds you it is that second number that flips. I like to underline the ones that I know are going to flip. If you flip this, you also have to flip this sign in the middle to the opposite. All right, so you try it and we'll come back together in just a moment. All right, so this first one, I wanted to point out to you that after I flipped this, this number, it should be 5/8 times 3/4. Sorry about that. I was interrupted in the middle here while I was doing my work. I'm going to come back to that one because number 2 has what I'm looking for, the Ninja Star cross reduce. So when I flip this 3/1 to 1/3, I can reduce the 9 and the 3 to 3 and then 1 for a total of 3/10. I'm going to draw this prettier up here in just a moment. So I'll do that with you. It's 5/8 times 3/4. Okay? So if you look at this one, you cannot cross reduce, so it ends up being 15/32, and you cannot reduce that because this is you can reduce it by 8 or a 4 or a 2, and you can't reduce 15 by any of those. So that did not have the Ninja Star reducing that I had here. But if you look at number 3, I was able to do, so I put 12/1, and then I flipped the 2/3 to 3/2, and then I did Ninja Star reduce these two for the total of 18. Let's go through number 4 together, and we are going to work with this formula up here, rate equals distance divided by time. There might be a couple of these on the assignment, especially I think if you do the assignment for the challenge. So you just need to make sure that when you see this, when you're trying to find that rate, you need to take your distance, which is 4/5 of a mile, and you need to divide it by your time, which is 1/6 of an hour. So if I want to change that, I'm going to use a different color. 4/5 times 6/1, because we flipped that number, it stood on its head. Our rate is going to be 24/5, which will be 4 and 4/5 mph, miles per hour. So the biggest thing that you need to remember to apply is this formula of distance divided by time. Okay, so I know that was a sticker for my class last year, was this one, and we did not do an example. So I included this one this year just to show you, you need to figure out, okay, which one is the distance, that's in miles, and which one is the time, that's the one in hours. So that's how you figure out your rate. Okay, the others, I apologize for this one here. I shouldn't be taping my lessons when people are coming into my classroom. Have a great lesson today, and don't forget the little song. Let's sing our way out. Everybody now. The number you're dividing by, dividing by, dividing by, the number you're dividing by, turn upside down and multiply. Have a great lesson. Don't forget the song. May it haunt your dreams tonight.